everybody, my name is Jada, and today we're going to be talking about some of the next steps that you can take if you think you want to become a doctor. Um, so, a little bit about me. I am a recent graduate of Hampton University. I graduated in 2020 and I studied psychology and I also studied um, medical sciences. So, I did a pre med concentration. And while I was at Hampton, I got a chance to be a part of the early medical school selection program at Boston University. And so during my senior year, I spent the year at Boston with a group of other students from other HBCUs, and we got a little bit of a taste of what life was like in medical school in some of their classes. And it was a really great experience. I love Hampton and I'm all for HBCUs, so I hope you guys are enjoying learning about the different HBCUs. So some of you might have seen some of my other videos. I did a video on the anatomy of a cell, and I also did a video on different things about muscles in our body. And so you might be saying, oh, I really think medical school might be for me, or I really want to be a dentist, or I really want to be a physician's assistant. So today we're going to talk about just some of those things and some of the things that drew me towards medicine. So growing up, I always loved science, and I got to shadow a doctor in 4th grade, and that really piqued my interest. So we're going to talk a little bit about shadowing in a bit. And one of the other things that piqued my interest in in studying medicine is that I just got to see firsthand some of the disparities in our healthcare system in both our country and just in around the world. So I really wanted to be a part of helping solve that. So if you're at home and you're thinking, wow, I really want to be a dentist, or I really want to be like so-and-so at my church, or so-and-so at my school who does something really cool. It doesn't even have to be medicine. I would suggest reaching out and seeing if you can shadow them. So basically, like, can I come to work with you for an hour, a couple hours, or can I sit down with you and hear about your job? And if there's something that's really special to you that you want to learn more about, but you might not know anybody that does that personally, I would suggest researching different professionals in your area, but also you can get on YouTube and see a video like a day in the life of a neurosurgeon or a day in the life of a veterinarian. So all those are good options. The reason I have a picture of Grey's Anatomy here is just to hone in that, things in people's jobs are not always like how they seem on TV. So I love Grey's Anatomy, but sometimes I go to shadow a doctor, I'm like, none of this is like Grey's Anatomy. So it's important to see real life experiences rather than be married to something that you see on TV, if that makes sense. So everyone sees their doctor or their dentist, and you're like, wow, that person went to a lot of school and I'm only in high school. So what happens between being a doctor and being in high school? That's a lot of steps, honestly, but it's not all like super boring or anything like that. And it doesn't really feel like work because time goes by fast and you're learning so much and you're doing something that you really enjoy. So it's really fun. But today we're going to talk about the little steps in between. So first step, high school, always important. While you're in high school, some of the things that you can do is just do your best in your classes and absorb all that you're learning. You might think, oh, well, I don't really like history, I like science. But it's important to know all of these things because all those things make you a well-rounded learner and a well-rounded person. So we're going to go to one of our frequently asked questions before we talk about college. So actually, we've got high school, then bachelor's degree in college, so that's usually 4 years. And then after that, you can apply to a professional school. So that could be medical school, dental school, PA school, or even if you're not into science, it could be, I want to get my master's, or I want to go study law. So all of those professional schools, the first step is getting your bachelor's degree. So here are some of the frequently asked questions about becoming a doctor. So the first one is, I'm in high school. Do I need to take all the AP Science courses? What do you guys think? So the short answer is no. AP classes are really great. They also require a lot of time. So don't feel the need to take more than you can handle. If there's one that really interests you, I would say go with that one first, because if you're interested in it, it won't feel as hard. If it's something that looks really yucky, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do it, but maybe just make sure that you're balanced so that you enjoy high school, you learn, as much as you feel that you can get out of all your classes, but also don't burn yourself out. So some of the classes that might be helpful, if any of these are interesting to you, are AP Bio, AP Chemistry, AP Physics, AP Research, and this last one isn't AP, but some schools have it, and it's Anatomy and Physiology. So all of these classes, I know my high school didn't have all of these classes. Different high schools have different mixes of AP classes, but if any of these sound really interesting to you, I would say go for it. If chemistry is not your thing, do I think you need to sit through a whole AP chemistry class? No, it's not the end all be all if you don't take those classes in high school, I promise. So the next question is, I'm headed to college. Do I need to be a biology major? And the answer to that one is also no. So lots of people do study biology in order to go into dental school or medical school or PA school, but you don't have to. So there's certain classes that everyone has to take in order to go to medical school or dental school, but you can take those classes and still study something that you really love. So if you really love English, but you also want to be a doctor, go for it. The most important thing is that you're studying something that you're really passionate about, and when you show up to apply to anything after that, your passion for your main major is going to shine through, and all the other science stuff that you need to learn, you can learn that in classes as well, but that doesn't need to be your whole life in college. So study something that you love. Some of the most common majors, according to the Medical School Association, is biology, physical sciences, so chemistry and physics, social sciences, so that's where I fall under, psychology and sociology, and then humanities. They really want well-rounded students, and it really makes a difference to have people from all walks of life coming into school. So don't feel like you have to do biology if that's not what you want to do. So now we're going to talk about some of the things that you could do as a doctor. So it's a misconception that if you're a doctor, you're going to be seeing patients all day, because there's lots of different things that you can do with a medical degree. And say you're between different things. Say, oh, I really want to be a doctor, but I also really want to be a lawyer, or I also want to do business. There's something coming up for you guys too. So one of the first things that you can do as a doctor is research. So, these things are really important as far as coming up with new treatments for people who are facing different illnesses, and working in the lab, like the people behind the scenes. Those are really like, they're like superheroes too, because they might not be physically working with a patient every day, but they're doing so much for the community. And that's something, especially in today's age, we need more minority students going into research, because research is often driven, the way that research goes, it's driven by the researcher. So there's certain illnesses that minorities face more than our non-minority counterparts. And if we don't have a seat at the table in those research facilities, those illnesses are not studied, and new drugs are not coming out to serve minority communities as much as they might be coming out for other illnesses. So research is so important for minority students to be looking into. And another important thing that you can do as a doctor is teach other doctors. So giving back, and most of the time the people that teach as doctors, they also have their own patients, but while they're helping their patient, they also have maybe 4 or 5 doctors behind them, and they're explaining to those doctors what they're doing. So that's really a skill of it in and of itself, but it's super important thing. So if you really are into teaching, that could be something that you could look into. The third thing, of course, is just general medical practice. Say, oh, I don't really like research. That's fine. You do not have to be a researcher. You can go to work every day, see your patients, and go home. And a lot of people do that. The last thing is business leadership. So when you go in a hospital, there still has to be someone that's the president. Someone's got to be making the money move. Someone's got to be making the decisions as far as handling legal issues within the business. A hospital or medical practice is still a business. So some people you can go to medical school and get a MD mixed with a JD. So that means I'm a doctor and I'm a lawyer. Or you could get an MD mixed with an MBA. So that's a master's in business. And so those people usually serve in the hospital as maybe the CEO or maybe one of the law representatives. And so they have to understand what's going on from a medical standpoint and what's going on from a business standpoint, and try to make sure all those things get done like ethically and just efficiently. So all of these things are very important aspects to being a doctor, and I feel like sometimes we don't always talk about all of these aspects, but if one of those interests you, it's really a cool thing to look into more. And it's almost like you're making a pizza. Like you get to decide, oh, I want to be half time teaching and I want to be half time researching. Every doctor that you meet basically designs their own job. After a certain amount of time working in the field, they get to design their own job. So they can take bits and pieces of all these aspects and melt them into exactly what they want to be doing. And so with that, we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do in high school if some of this stuff really interests you. So the first thing that you can do in high school is become a medical scribe. And so those people are almost like the doctor's assistants, and they normally go with the doctor to see patients. And while the doctor is working, you're taking notes. And that's a really good way to get to know some of the medical lingo, get to see what life is like on the job, because you are literally that doctor's shadow. Everywhere they go, you go. Everything they see, you see. And so you're learning, but on your feet. Instead of reading about this stuff, you're seeing it in real time. And so that's a really cool opportunity to do, and you can train for that after you have a high school degree. Or I think some places you can do it with a high school while you're in high school. I think it depends on the hospital that you're at or the doctor that you're working with. But that's a really cool opportunity if it's something that might interest you. The other thing that you can do with a high school degree is you can become an EMT. So that's an emergency medical technician. And those people are really, really on the front lines of medicine, right? If you call 911 and you're having a medical emergency, that's the first people that you see. So they get to see lots of cool stuff, help lots of different people, and they work with the patient in the home sometimes, or at the site of the trauma. And then they also stand by that patient as they get to the doctor and help be a liaison to the doctor, so that when you show up to the hospital, the doctor knows about you and knows about your situation. So they see lots of really cool things, and that's a really good thing to get involved in if you're looking for something to do. And both of these are also paid positions. So it's a really good opportunity as like a summer job or something like that to get involved early on. And I think just any way that you can get involved, either in this field or say you do a little bit and you say, this is not for me. The biggest drive home message is to get involved in something that you could see yourself doing long term. Don't wait till you're older. You can start now. You know, you can start in high school. You can start in middle school. Start experimenting and getting your feet wet, so to speak, so that you can see if things are really if it's really what something that you find interesting. And if not, it's a good experience. No harm, no foul, and you can try something else. But just stick with it. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of these videos.